Part 4. Sky Coffin. Author, Ching Nian Wanbao. Chapter 31. The person behind me is none other than Sulugo. Sulugo. You are damn sick. Didn't I tell you to wait outside? A surge of anger shot through me. When Sulugo was yelled at by me, her delicate body trembled, and big tears fell from her eyes. I was a little scared, so I came in. I took a deep breath and forced myself to calm down. Feel sorry. Any sensible woman would choose to wait outside in this situation. Just come in when you say you're coming in, and there's no sound at all. It made me think it was a ghost, and I almost used the only thunder talisman. Squeak. The bathroom door slowly closed, and I stepped forward to grab the door handle, but I was a step too late. Even though I pulled with all my strength, the bathroom door seemed to be welded shut and could not be moved at all. Damn it! I'm actually trapped here. The dim light of the flashlight spread to the doorframe. At this moment, a flash of blood red flashed in the corner of my eyes. I quickly took a flashlight and shined it on the door panel. My pupils dilated instantly and I looked at everything in front of me in horror. There are bloody fingerprints all over the bathroom door. The large number of handprints, the dense arrangement, and the different sizes and directions are like barnacles of various sizes parasitic on the body of a whale. It made my scalp numb and gave me goosebumps all over my body. Ah! At this time, Sulugo's frightened screams rang in my ears. Suddenly, the skin on my back tightened, and an endless chill invaded my whole body. Turning around suddenly, a pale woman's face came into my eyes. Her eyes were turned outward, all white, and the faint smile on her lips made my heart tremble, my hands trembled, and the thunder talisman almost fell to the ground. When did she appear? Why didn't I hear any sound? I instantly broke out in a cold sweat, and when I looked at Sulugo, I was so frightened that I fainted. I forced myself to hold my breath and calm my mind, so that the female ghost could not find me for the time being. The distance between me and her was extremely close. The female ghost's eyes were sunken, and 2 lines of blood and tears were flowing down. In those eyes full of whites, I saw the emotions in my own eyes, including fear, panic, fear. I felt something pushing against my abdomen, and I rolled my eyes and looked down. I saw her tall abdomen pressing against my abdomen. I could clearly see that the female ghost's pale belly had some cracks, which made it feel like something was about to come out of her belly. I didn't dare to breathe out. I couldn't use the thunder talisman at such a distance. The female ghost's face suddenly came closer to me, and she sniffed my scent. I guess I can't see it, I can only feel my position through feeling. Once she was sure I was alive, she attacked me. Tear. There was a sound of something breaking in the air, and before I could react, there was another sound of water dripping on the ground. I suddenly felt as if water was dripping at my feet, and I looked down again. I saw that the belly of the female ghost began to slowly open, revealing large areas of flesh and blood, which was extremely bloody and terrifying. I finally knew that what was dripping on my instep was not something else, but the scarlet blood of a female ghost. The cracks in the belly are getting bigger and bigger, the flesh and blood are open, the muscles are connected, and the scarlet blood is flowing out. The skin on my face was trembling, and such a bloody and horrific scene in front of me made my stomach churn. There is something in the female ghost's belly that wants to come out. As soon as this thought came to my mind, I saw a pale little ghost hand rushing out of flesh and blood and grabbing at me. Sky Coffin. Author, Ching Nian Wanbao. Chapter 32. My expression froze, I stepped back repeatedly, my center of gravity lost its balance and I fell to the ground. Both mother and son are evil. Damn it! How could I forget such an important thing? When Sulugo narrated this incident to me, she kept emphasizing that they were a ghost mother and son. But I have a thunder talisman of my own, how can I deal with 2 fierce ghosts? The thunder talisman must be activated before this kid comes out. The corners of the female ghost's mouth raised slightly, revealing an extremely vicious and strange smile, which made my scalp tingle. You help her. You deserve to die. The female ghost's voice was sinister and vicious, lingering in my ears like a demonic voice. I yelled in my heart, I don't want to help her either. But my master doesn't allow it. The belly of the female ghost had become a bloody mess, and a bloody little head was exposed. This is, a child of 5 or 6 months. The little ghost was covered in scarlet blood, and he was trying his best to get out of the female ghost's belly. The female ghost suddenly became furious, screamed, opened her bloody mouth and bit me. In desperation, I turned over and dodged, holding the thunder talisman in my hand and silently reciting the thunder talisman in my heart. Suddenly, the thunder talisman in his hand crackled, flashing with dazzling blue arcs of electricity. The female ghost just jumped into the air, and her body fell forward due to inertia. I stood up suddenly and threw the thunder talisman in my hand directly on the female ghost. Boom! There were bursts of thunder, and the thunder symbols instantly turned into electric arcs and invaded the female ghost's body. Ah! The female ghost's miserable scream echoed throughout the room. My legs softened and I sat down on the ground. Looking at the twitching female ghost, my heart did not relax. The thunder talisman Su Tianqian gave me will not kill the ghost mother, it can only hurt her. After all, I still have to tie the red rope to her arm. But if the thunder talisman is not powerful enough and fails to knock it unconscious, what should I do? The female ghost twitched for a while and then stopped moving. Seeing this, I let out a long sigh of relief. He took out the red rope from his pocket and came to the female ghost. Just as he was about to tie the red rope on her hand, a vicious voice came from behind. Let go of my mother. I turned around suddenly and saw Sulugo standing up from the ground at some point. Wrong. The person in front of me is not Sulugo. At this time, Sulugo's face was pale, her eyes were sinister and malicious, and her face had the expression of an angry child. Let go of my mother. The Sulugo in front of her was actually possessed by the child in the ghost mother's belly. This is bad. I have been given the thunder talisman to use. How should I deal with Sulugo who is possessed by a ghost? Before I could think of a countermeasure, Sulugo rushed towards me. Her speed was extremely fast, and she threw me to the ground before I could react. Sulugo stretched out her hand and strangled my neck tightly. I resisted and struggled, but to no avail. Sulugo is a woman, and she shouldn't be as strong as a man like me. But Sulugo, who was possessed by a little ghost, might not be able to be subdued by more than a dozen big men. My neck felt like it was being strangled, and the suffocation spread throughout my body. My eyes were bloodshot, and everything I could see was blurry. I know that if this continues, I will be strangled to death by Sulugo. But what can I do now? My consciousness began to blur. Su Tianqian appeared in front of me, imagining that she would save me again. But this is nothing more than a dream. At this moment, I felt my right arm feel hot, and my bloody hand reappeared. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 33. I don't know where I got the strength from, so I directly penetrated Sulugo's chest with my bloody hand and grabbed it hard, as if I had caught something. I raised my foot and kicked Sulugo in the lower abdomen. Due to inertia, Sulugo fell backward. It was this action that directly pulled out the little devil inside her. I gasped for air and held the kid tightly with my bloody hands. There was a sizzling sound in my ears. The sound was like raw meat being grilled on a charcoal fire. Ah! The kid let out a heartbreaking scream. Because I looked at the kid, my vision was blurred due to lack of oxygen, and I could only see a small outline struggling desperately. At this moment, the familiar pain came. It's the evil spirit taking effect. I quickly let go of the kid's hand and collapsed to the ground, curling up like a shrimp. Pain. It hurts. Damn evil spirit. Just when I was about to pass out from the pain, a warmth came from behind and spread throughout my body. It's the 8-character blood evil. Soon, the pain disappeared instantly. I gasped for breath and looked at the kid, only to see that the place where the kid was caught by the bloody hand had turned pitch black. The kid also lost his ability to move and fell to the ground. I struggled to stand up, and I had to tie the red rope to the female ghost's hand as soon as possible, and then leave here. I took out the red rope, came to the female ghost's side, and tied the red rope on the unconscious female ghost's hand. You cannot stay here for long, you must leave here. I looked at Sulugo, who was unconscious on the ground, hesitantly picked her up, and helped her walk outside. No matter what Sulugo did, I know that if I leave her here, she will definitely die. My conscience won't allow me to do this. Just when I opened the bathroom door, a gloomy wind poured in from outside. The blow made me step back repeatedly. With a bang, the bathroom door opened. A figure stood quietly at the door of the bathroom. What is it again? Could it be that there is a third ghost in this room? Before I could think about it, the figure outside had already walked in. It wasn't until he got closer that I could see his face clearly. It was a man, wearing a black shroud, with a strong figure, a handsome face, and a fierce temperament all over his body. The man was slightly startled when he saw the scene in the bathroom, and then he turned his attention to me. Our eyes met, and the first thought that came to my mind was that this person was not alive. It's a ghost. I kept backing away from him. He gave me a cold look, and for a moment I felt as if my whole body was being stared at by a poisonous snake. My body instantly became cold, and an invisible sense of oppression hit me. Who is he? I originally thought that the man would attack me, but I never thought that after the man glanced at me, he would focus on the ghost mother and son. He held it in the air, and a chain appeared in his hand. This reminds me of ghosts, black and white, and impermanence. Could it be that the man in front of me is a ghost messenger from the underworld, here to collect this ghost mother and son? The man gave me a very dangerous feeling, and all the cells in my body were resisting me from having too much contact with him. But I suddenly remembered what Su Tianxian said to me. If someone obstructs you while dealing with ghost matters, put another talisman on his forehead. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 34. Could it be that he was referring to the ghost in front of him? I secretly put my hand into my pocket and pinched another talisman. Obviously the ghost came here to take away the ghost mother and son. Su Tianxian told me before that we should not kill them all unless absolutely necessary. In other words, he wanted to let go of the ghost mother and son in front of him. At this moment, the ghost mother on the ground moved, and then stood up in an extremely strange posture. The first reaction of the ghost mother when she resumed her action was to look at me. Her vicious snake-like eyes stared at me tightly, making my scalp numb and my heart filled with fear. The ghost mother roared, and suddenly a dark wind filled the room, like an ice cave. I am going to kill you. The ghost mother rose into the air, her tone was vicious and sharp, and in the blink of an eye a pale face appeared in front of me. Her pale hands clawed straight at my chest. The ghost mother's speed was so fast that I couldn't react at all. At this critical moment, I suddenly heard the strong wind whistling in my ears, and the morning stick came into view. With a bang, the morning stick hit the ghost mother hard on the head. The blow was so powerful that the ghost mother was knocked away. I stiffly turned my head and looked to one side, only to see the ghost officer holding a morning stick and staring coldly at the ghost mother on the ground. The ghost mother struggled to stand up, her original vicious and malicious eyes disappeared, replaced by infinite fear. Goichi took steps forward and approached Goemyu. With every step he took, Goichi's temperament became more intense. Although I didn't face the ghost directly, I could still feel the ultimate sense of oppression he brought to me. My hand holding the talisman was shaking. I can't imagine how powerful Gizashi is. I'm afraid I will be discovered before I even get close to him. He will definitely be taken away by then. Gizashi took off the chain coiled around his left arm, waved his hand, and the chain flew away. There was only a pop, blood splattered everywhere, and the chain in the ghost's hand penetrated the female ghost's bones. Ah! The ghost mother let out a shrill howl. Then a violent struggle began. I don't want to. I don't want to leave. I won't give in. I want to kill her. Kill her. The ghost mother rushed towards the unconscious Sulugo on the ground, but because of the chain, the ghost mother could not succeed. When the little ghost saw his mother being captured by the ghost, he screamed and rushed towards the ghost. But what was waiting for him was the morning stick in the hand of the ghost. The kid was also knocked out. I was completely dumbfounded. The ghost mother and son, who were originally fierce and powerful, now had no room for resistance in front of Goichi. This also made me realize the gap between me and Gazan. This makes me wonder, can I really save this ghost mother and son from the ghosts? If it weren't for Su Tianxuan's instructions, I think I would have run away by now. Who would be stupid enough to save two ghosts? The ghost pulled the ghost mother closer to the little ghost. The little ghost huddled in the corner and grinned at the ghost, making a strange scream that was creeping out. Your existence will affect the order of yin and yang. Come with me. Goichi's voice was cold, without a trace of emotion. I took a deep breath and stepped closer to Gizashi. I have no choice now, no matter how powerful the other party is, I have to do this. Because this is about my life. I tiptoed close to Giza, but at this moment, Giza seemed to feel something, and suddenly turned back and looked at me coldly. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 35. Goichi is very handsome, but he gives me a very gloomy feeling. He frowned slightly and looked at me coldly. Just as he was about to speak, the two evil spirits behind him began to struggle desperately against the restraints of the chains. Goichi can only let the mother and son settle down first. Good chance. The moment Goichi turned his head, I stretched out my right hand and pressed the talisman in my hand firmly against his forehead. Goichi's body stiffened and he fell straight down. It was at this moment that the mother and son broke free from the chains and disappeared. It was within my expectation that both the son and the mother escaped. The ghost mother was first hit by the thunder talisman and seriously injured, and then the ghost's chain penetrated the pipa bone, causing even more injuries. There was no way she could continue to attack me in this situation. Looking at Goichi lying straight on the ground, I didn't dare to stay. I supported Sulugo and was about to leave. Just as I was about to step out of the bathroom, I heard the ghastly and angry voice of Goichi. Boy! Obstructing the ghosts from enforcing the law. It's a serious crime. I didn't stop, I supported Sulugo and left the community. On the way, Sulugo slowly opened her eyes. Lusu, where are we going? When I saw that she was awake, I didn't bother to talk nonsense to her. I let go of her and said, the matter has been resolved. You can leave by yourself. After that, I walked towards Ji Yuntang without looking back. Sulugo stared blankly at my leaving figure. After a moment of confusion, her eyes were replaced by joy. She turned around and left in the opposite direction to me. Everything that happened tonight was going according to what Su Tianxian said. My admiration for Su Tianxian has reached its peak. What I have to do now is to return to Ji Yuntang as soon as possible. It is indeed a serious crime to hinder a ghost officer from enforcing the law. The ghost officer will definitely not let me go. In order to save my life, I can only listen to Su Tianxuan's words. It's not far from Jiyuntang, and you can get there in 7 or 8 minutes. The rainy day finally stopped at night. The moon hung high in the sky, and the pitted water mirrors on the ground reflected the pale moonlight. The air was filled with the aroma of moist earth, which smelled very fresh. For some reason, the city is a little quiet tonight. There is no hustle and bustle and neon lights in the past, only rich darkness. I quickened my pace, and when I was about to come to a crossroads, I was attracted by a flash of bright red out of the corner of my eye. I stopped subconsciously. Looking at the bushes on the side, they looked like $100 bills. I crouched down and pulled the thing I had just seen out of the bushes. Sure enough, it was $100 bill. This is human nature, right? Why not pick up money when you see it on the street? The moment I picked up the bank notes, some black flock suddenly floated in front of my eyes. I reached out and touched it. It seemed like the ashes of burned yellow paper. Someone is burning paper? I looked around, and a burst of fire caught my eye. Beside the intersection, an old lady knelt in front of the fire and cried, delivering yellow paper to the fire. Crossroads, according to legend, are the places where yin and yang meet. They are not only places where yang people pass, but they also lead to the underworld at night. Therefore, those who pay homage to their loved ones burn paper money at crossroads, hoping that ghosts will guide them and take them to the underworld to give to their deceased relatives. The old lady's cry was creepy and chilling. From my angle, the old lady's cheeks reflected by the firelight had no color at all, and looked indescribably eerie and terrifying. I suddenly had a bad feeling and quickly took out the $100 bill I just picked up. My pupils dilated and shrank instantly, and there were 4 big characters written on them, TND Bank. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Ching Nian Wanbao. Chapter 36. TND Bank. This is a ghost coin. I looked at the old lady burning paper at the intersection. Wait, I seem to have overlooked something. Today seems to be July 15th. Ghost Festival. Just when this thought came to my mind, an old voice suddenly came to my mind. Young man, this is the money my wife gave me. My hands trembled, and the Ming coins fell to the ground. I turned around stiffly, and a pale and bloodless face came into my eyes. Ah! I was so frightened that I backed away. Only after pulling away did I see clearly what kind of existence was standing behind me. It was an old man, wearing a black shroud. His face was pale and ashen, the wrinkled skin on his face was twisted together, and his pair of lifeless eyes exuded a ghostly aura. The old man glanced at the Ming coins that fell on the puddle and sighed quietly. The money is wet, how can I use it? The old ghost man bent down and picked up the Ming coins from the puddle and shook them. I can't stay here any longer. Run. We must get out of here as soon as possible. While the ghost old man was picking up the ghost coins, I ran like crazy. When I passed by the old lady who was burning paper, I saw from the corner of my eye a sky full of ghost coins floating out of the fire. I was horrified in my heart, and I sped up and ran towards Jiyuntang. While running, I heard whispers in my ears. From the corner of my eye, I saw dense crowds of people on both sides of the road. I don't know when they appeared. I know that these are all wandering souls. There is only one word left in my mind, and that is to run. I don't know how long I ran, but I finally saw Jiyuntang. I hurriedly took out the key and opened the door. The door of Jiyuntang opened with a click. I pushed the wooden door open, hurriedly entered it, and then turned around and locked the wooden door. I leaned against the wooden door and gasped for air. I felt that all the strength in my body had been drained out of me in an instant. My limbs were weak and I was breaking out in cold sweat. This is too much. When I return home, I even encounter a ghost. After I regained my composure, I realized that actually it was not a question of whether I should memorize it or not. Su Tianqian told me before that I was targeted by the 9 evil stars and was riddled with evil spirits. The yang fire in my body was not as strong as before. Therefore, some evil things will take the initiative to come to your door. I stood up with difficulty, knowing that it was not over yet. That ghost will definitely find him, and I must follow Su Tianxuan's instructions to complete the next thing. I quickly came to the counter, opened the drawer, and took out a large stack of ghost money. There is an essential difference between ghost money and ghost money. This ghost money is a bit more advanced than ghost money. It is the currency circulating in the underworld. I neatly placed the ghost notes I drew these days on the 8 immortals table. Then I boiled water to make tea. I found a jar of Westlake Longjing in the utility room on the 2nd floor. The jar was already covered with dust. My master is really casual, leaving such good tea in the utility room. After making tea, I walked towards the 1st floor with the teapot. As I stepped onto the stairs, a bone-chilling chill instantly spread throughout my body. When I arrived on the 1st floor, the wooden door was pushed open with a loud bang, a sinister wind blew, and a ghost appeared in front of me along with a thick white mist. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 37. I stiffened and kept telling myself not to be afraid. As long as you follow what Su Tianqian said, nothing will happen. Guicha glanced at me coldly and walked into Ji Yuntang. During this process, I didn't even dare to express my anger. He walked straight past me and sat on the 8 immortals chair. From the corner of Guicha's eyes, he looked at Guichao on the table and his expression changed. I took a deep breath, quickly brought the tea to the ghost boss, and said flatteringly, "Sir, please drink tea. Please drink tea." With that said, I hurriedly made tea for Gazeo. Guicha glanced at me indifferently, then looked at the entire Ji Yuntang, and asked, "Who are you, Su Tianqian?" I put down the teacup and said respectfully, "She is my master." "Master?" Gazeo had a puzzled look on his face, and his cold eyes began to look at me from head to toe. With her personality, how could she accept a disciple? As soon as I heard this, my tense spirit relaxed slightly. It turned out that the ghost in front of him knew his master, and the tone of his words seemed very familiar. "Sir, I am indeed her apprentice." Gazan did not continue to ask further on this topic. He stretched out his hand, picked up the ghost money on the table, counted it, looked at it, and frowned slightly. "Didn't your master draw this ghost note?" I quickly said to the side, "I drew this, I drew it." Guicha put down the ghost money in his hand, raised a sneer at the corner of his mouth, stood up, and grabbed my neck. This sudden turn of events caught me off guard. I struggled desperately, but his hands were like iron pliers strangling my neck. "Boy, you want to bribe me with such a small amount of money? Are you too naive?" Gazan's tone became extremely cold, and his hands became harder and harder. I felt like my whole body was being lifted up. In just one breath, I felt dizzy and temporarily deafened in both ears. Ghost is very powerful, facing him, I am like an ant. However, should I give up struggling just to this extent? My life was bought by my parents and grandparents. I can't die like this. There must be some way to solve the current dilemma. Bloody hands. That's right. Bloody hands can even hurt ghosts, so dealing with ghosts should be no problem. Just when I was about to use my bloody hand, a familiar voice suddenly came to my ears. "Let him go." This voice is Su Tianqian. Su Tianqian was dressed in white and stood quietly at the gate of Ji Yuntang, her eyes still calm. Seeing Su Tianxuan's sudden appearance, Guicha relaxed his grip slightly. It was this slight relaxation that gave me a chance to breathe. "Let him go? Do you know what your apprentice did?" Guicha's tone was not as sharp as before, but instead became a little gentle. I know. Su Tianqian walked slowly towards Goicha. I will help you catch the ghost who escaped tonight, and he can provide you with ghost money from now on. Is this feasible? Goicha was stunned for a moment, then a smile appeared on his face, and he quickly let go of me. Master Tianqian is really happy. Then it's settled. Su Tianqian nodded lightly. Goicha glanced at the ghost money on the table and put it into his pocket. I really don't understand why you accepted him as your disciple. Gaza looked at me lying on the ground and continued, you are riddled with evil spirits. Sooner or later you will be tricked to death by him. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanba. Chapter 38. This is my business. Su Tianqian said calmly. Gazashi shrugged helplessly and disappeared in an instant. Seeing Goicha leave, I let out a long sigh of relief. The sense of oppression brought by Goicha was simply too strong. With him around, I find it difficult to breathe. Are you okay? Su Tianqian asked. I shook my head and said, it's okay, it's okay. If Su Tianqian had come one step too late, I might have been killed on the spot. After not seeing each other for a few days, Su Tianqian is still breathtakingly beautiful. Her brows are slightly furrowed, and her beautiful eyes are filled with water, just like the bottomless blue waves in a pool, making people want to know more about her unconsciously. But her expression was extremely bad. It must have been the backlash from my use of bloody hands. Master, are you okay? I asked tentatively. Su Tianqian shook his head lightly, looked at me, opened his red lips lightly, and said, I'm hungry. I was slightly startled and said quickly, Master, wait, I will cook for you. After a while, Su Tianqian sat at the 8 Immortals table and started eating. Her movements were gentle and her manners were graceful. I couldn't help but sigh, a beauty is a beauty, and eating can be so pleasing to the eye. Soon, Su Tianqian ate all the supper I specially prepared for her. I was a little relieved. Su Tianqian could eat well and there should be no major health problems. Su Tianqian picked up the paper towel on the table and wiped his mouth. I took this opportunity to ask, Master, did you just say that you would capture all the escaped ghosts? Today is the Ghost Festival on July 15th, the busiest time for ghosts, because I am sure many ghosts have escaped. How much effort will it take to catch them? Su Tianqian nodded and said, yes, this is not difficult. No. It's not a difficult thing. You know, what a lonely ghost. You have to get involved in this. Hearing this, I sighed secretly in my heart. It seems I still can't cut off contact with those ghosts. Although I don't know what Su Tianxian's purpose is for this arrangement. But I believe Su Tianqian will not harm me. At this time, I suddenly thought of something and asked, Master, why do you want me to let that ghost mother and son go? This is the most puzzling thing in my mind. Su Tianqian said calmly, the ghost mother and son are entangled with Qingyang Evil Star. You let them go because you want to find Qingyang Evil Star. I suddenly realized that what was locked in the sky coffin was the 9 evil stars. And the 9 evil stars have broken out of the coffin and are looking for their respective fates. After they found the corresponding destiny, the first thing they did was to kill me and rob me of my 5 senses and limbs. Su Tianxian's actions can be regarded as well-intentioned. Okay, if you have nothing to do, go and rest. You and I will go out to catch ghosts tomorrow night. After saying that, Su Tianqian stood up and walked towards the 2nd floor. When I heard the word ghost hunting, I trembled subconsciously, but thinking that Su Tianqian would be with me, I felt much more at ease. The next day, when I got up, I found that Su Tianqian had already been sitting at the 8 Immortals table. After a night's rest, Su Tianxian's face recovered a little rosy. Master, good morning. Su Tianqian just read the book quietly, as if waiting for someone. He didn't even raise his eyebrows when he heard my greeting. I scratched my head awkwardly and started making breakfast. After breakfast, a person came outside the store. I took a closer look and it turned out to be Sulugo. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Ching Nian Wanba. Chapter 39. Sulugo's dress today is completely different from yesterday. She wore heavy makeup, wore high-end designer clothes, and the jewelry she wore looked valuable. What's the reason for her coming here? Sulugo's arrival was something I didn't expect. I saw Sulugo coming in front of me. Just when she was about to speak, she saw Su Tianqian sitting at the Eight Immortals table. She was slightly startled, then put on a flattering face and said respectfully to Su Tianqian, "This is Tianqian. Master. I have long admired your name." Su Tianqian was still sitting at the table, looking at the books in his hands, without any reaction from beginning to end. She didn't want to pay attention to Sulugo at all. Sulugo looked a little embarrassed. She had long heard that Su Tianqian had a weird temper. Most of the people who came to ask Su Tianqian for help returned disappointed. Because whether Su Tianqian takes action or not depends entirely on her mood. "Sulugo, the matter has been resolved, what are you doing here?" The ghost mother and son had been injured. Would they come to cause trouble for her anytime soon? In addition, we will also take the next step towards the ghost mother and son. The ghost mother and son must be unable to protect themselves now. In this way, the threat from the ghost mother and son to Sulugo is almost zero. Sulugo smiled slightly, took out an invitation from her bag and said, "Lu Su, I'm here to thank you." I looked at the invitation in Sulugo's hand and was slightly startled. Is this a wedding invitation? I'm getting married tomorrow. I hope you can come to attend so that I can thank you in person. I'm not surprised at all by Sulugo's current behavior. I saw through Sulugo's little thoughts as early as the beginning. In order to seek Su Tianxuan's help, she did not hesitate to curry favor with me. All kinds of hints to me are just to tie me to this big tree. In the past, I was just a small fork on a tree, but after becoming a disciple of Su Tianqian, my status rose. I took the invitation from Sulugo, nodded and said, "Congratulations." Sulugo smiled slightly, very happily. She took a step forward and whispered in my ear, "Lu Su, although I am married, I still like you in my heart." Sulugo breathed out orchids, and her hot breath sprayed on the base of my ears, itching and making me very uncomfortable. I smiled awkwardly and said, "Sulugo, are you kidding me?" Sulugo stopped talking, smiled at me and left. As soon as she left, I threw the invitation into the trash can. Who will go to her wedding? Su Tianxuan's voice rang in my ears. Throw it away for what? I looked at Su Tianqian doubtfully and said, "I don't want to go." Su Tianqian stood up, glanced at me and said, "Go, maybe you can meet someone with the fate of Qingyang Evil Star." I was stunned for a moment, no way. But Su Tianqian would not make such a joke, so I had to pick up the invitation card from the trash can again. "Close the door and follow me." Good. I casually threw the invitation on the Eight Immortals table, closed the store door and went out with Su Tianqian. On the way, I asked, "Master, I have always been confused about a question." "You say? Then how did the mother and son die?" Su Tianqian paused and said, "The secret must not be leaked. It's not time to tell you yet. You will know it yourself tomorrow." The saying that secrets must not be revealed is truly omnipotent. After walking for a while, Su Tianqian stopped. I looked up. Theater. Why did Su Tianqian bring me here? Didn't you say you want to catch those lonely ghosts? Sky Coffin. Author, Ching Nian Wanba. Chapter 40. Master, what are we doing here? You'll find out later. Su Tianxian knocked on the door. After a moment, the backyard door opened and a woman stood in front of it. The woman has a peach-shaped face, makeup like an actress, hair accessories, and a red dress. She has a graceful figure, an outstanding temperament, and unparalleled elegance. Master Tianxian. Why are you here? The woman's voice is also very nice, as graceful and ethereal as a lark. I have something to ask for. Just 4 words set off a storm in my heart. Su Tianxian, actually ask someone else for something. What is this woman's background? The woman was obviously as shocked as I was, and she quickly welcomed Su Tianxian inside. Master Tianxian, please come in quickly. I followed Su Tianxian and walked in. The theater was not big, and there was a small stage in the middle. The courtyard was very deserted, but red begonia flowers were in full bloom. When they came to the house, the woman was busy making tea and water for Su Tianxian. Su Tianxian politely picked up the teacup and took a sip. At this time, the woman's eyes were on me. Master Tianxian, who is this? My apprentice. The woman's red lips parted slightly, and she asked in disbelief, have you accepted a disciple? Su Tianxian nodded lightly. The woman looked at me, extended her hand to me generously, raised the corners of her mouth slightly, and said, my name is Ruo Hung. I shook her hand back. Lu Su. After a brief greeting, Ruo Hung asked Su Tianxian what he wanted to do with her. Sing a ghost show. Su Tianxian slowly spit out these 3 words. I also know something about ghost plays. As the name suggests, ghost plays are not for people to watch. Could it be that Su Tianxian wanted to lure those fleeing ghosts back by singing ghost plays? Ruo Hung was slightly startled, but without asking any other questions, she nodded and said, okay, I'll make some preparations and we can sing in the evening. I can see that Ruo Hung really trusts her master. Please sing a ghost show and don't even ask the reason for the incident. Su Tianxian shook his head slightly after hearing this and said, you just need to prepare a costume for me, and then help me build a stage in the wild. After hearing this, Ruo Hung looked at Su Tianxian in astonishment and asked, Master Tianxian, do you want to perform on stage by yourself? After hearing Su Tianxian's precise answer, Ruo Hung and I were both surprised. Su Tianxian can actually sing ghost plays. You must know that ghost plays are not something ordinary people can sing. A little carelessness can put your life in danger. Then I thought about it, Su Tianxian is so powerful, it should be a normal thing to perform a ghost show. Obviously Ruo Hung also thought of this. She stood up and said, okay. Master Tianxian, I will prepare it for you right now. Su Tianxian thanked her, and Ruo Hung was flattered and said, Master Tianxian, you're so polite. This is what I should do. After that, he left in a hurry. Master, can you also sing? I couldn't help the curiosity in my heart and asked. Su Tianxian nodded and said, I know a little bit. She changed the topic and continued, in this scene tonight, you are the host. You have to entertain hundreds of ghosts and prepare incense and paper money. A banquet for hundreds of ghosts. That means I have to come into contact with the devil. Su Tianxian seemed to see my concerns, and she said, you can rest assured that nothing will happen to you as long as I am by your side. Of course I know this truth, but I'm afraid. Although he has been exposed to so many evil ghosts, the fear still exists in his heart.